On March 5, 1958, in the quaint town of Stratford, England, a bright and promising baby boy was born to Barbara and Hugh Gibb. They named him Andy, the youngest of 5 siblings in a family that would later become synonymous with musical genius. Andy's brothers, Barry, the twins Robin and Maurice, and their sister Leslie, all adored their baby brother. From the start, it was clear that Andy was special, not just to his family, but to everyone around him. His bright smile and mischievous nature made him unforgettable. However, life wasn't always easy for the Gibbs. Hugh, the family's patriarch, worked tirelessly to support his large family, but financial challenges loomed. A rare opportunity arose in 1959 when the Australian government offered assisted migration programs for British families, promising work and better opportunities in exchange for settling in the distant land. Seizing this chance, Barbara and Hugh packed up their lives and their 5 children, boarding a ship called the Fair Sea. Among the many British passengers was a young dancer named Anne Jones, who would later give birth to Kylie Minogue, Australia's pride in the music industry. A fascinating twist of fate connecting the Gibbs to another music legend. The journey to Australia marked the beginning of a new chapter. While life on the ship was an adventure for young Andy, it also symbolized hope for his family. Landing in Brisbane, the Gibbs embraced their new surroundings. Hugh found work, and the older siblings began exploring their musical talents. Andy, meanwhile, was just a toddler, but his vibrant personality already shone through. Growing up in Australia offered Andy a unique childhood. He loved the outdoors and spent countless hours playing in the fields and around horses. From a young age, he was known for his cheeky antics and boundless energy. Barbara often recounted stories of her youngest son's escapades, like the time he skipped school for days, hiding in a stable and napping alongside the horses. When confronted, Andy would innocently swear he had attended school, though the hay in his hair told another story. His charm often got him out of trouble, and his family couldn't help but laugh. By the late 1960s, Andy's older brothers, Barry, Robin and Maurice, were beginning to gain recognition as the Bee Gees, performing in local clubs and on Australian television. Their hard work and dedication left an impression on Andy, who started to see music as something more than just a hobby. At home, he absorbed the melodies and harmonies his brothers rehearsed, and their success sparked a dream in his young mind. In 1967, after 8 years in Australia, the Gibb family returned to England. The move was pivotal for the older siblings, who would soon achieve international fame. For 9-year-old Andy, England was a whirlwind of new experiences. The vibrant energy of London, with its bustling streets and thriving music scene, captivated him. Even at this young age, he began to show signs of the performer he would one day become. Andy's early years were filled with moments of joy, mischief, and budding creativity. As the youngest of the Gibb clan, he lived in the shadows of his brother's burgeoning stardom, yet his charm and natural talent hinted at a bright future of his own. Though he was still a boy, Andy's journey toward carving his unique path in the world of music had already begun. Life in Australia brought many changes for the Gibb family. For young Andy, it was a world of sunny days, open fields, and endless curiosity. While his father worked long hours and his mother managed the bustling household, Andy found joy in exploring the countryside. From the beginning, he stood out among his siblings for his playful and adventurous spirit. His laugh was contagious, and he had a way of winning people over with his charm, even when his antics caused trouble. As his older brothers, Barry, Robin and Maurice, began performing at local venues, Andy would often watch them in awe. The 3 had formed a band, slowly gaining recognition in Brisbane's music scene. For Andy, this was mesmerizing. Although he was too young to join their performances, he soaked up every note, watching how his brothers captivated audiences with their harmonies. At just 7 years old, Andy started mimicking their performances. Using a broomstick as a pretend guitar, he would sing along to his brothers' songs in their backyard, entertaining anyone who would watch. While his musical aspirations were still just a child's fantasy, they revealed an innate passion that would only grow stronger with time. By the mid-1960s, Andy's brothers were gaining momentum, but life for the youngest, Gibb, remained simpler. He loved playing with friends, climbing trees and riding bikes, but he also began to experiment with music on his own. When Barry gifted him a second-hand guitar for his 8th birthday, Andy's excitement was boundless. Though he struggled to play at first, he never gave up, spending hours plucking the strings and trying to replicate the melodies he heard. As the Bee Gees started achieving local success, their fame brought certain privileges to the Gibb household. Financially, the family was doing better, and this allowed Andy to live a carefree childhood. However, it also meant he grew up in an environment where success and high expectations were constant. While his brothers pursued their dreams, Andy quietly nurtured his own, dreaming of one day following in their footsteps. In 1967, when the family decided to move back to England, Andy's world shifted again. He was 9 years old, filled with excitement and a tinge of sadness at leaving the familiar fields of Australia behind. Yet, as they packed their belongings and boarded the ship to return to England, Andy couldn't help but feel a sense of adventure. He had no idea that the next chapter of his life would be one filled with opportunities and challenges that would shape his destiny. England in the late 1960s was a bustling hub of culture and creativity. For the Gibb family, the return marked a turning point. While Barry, Robin, and Maurice worked tirelessly to establish the Bee Gees on an international stage, Andy found himself navigating a new environment. London was a world away from the open spaces of Australia. The city was alive with energy, double-decker buses, bustling markets, and the vibrant sounds of rock and roll filling the air. Now, a 9-year-old boy, Andy was captivated by this dynamic world. He attended school and made friends, but his attention often wandered. His teachers noted his boundless energy and creative spark, but Andy struggled to sit still. While his siblings focused on their careers, Andy began to explore his own identity. Music was never far from his mind. In the evenings, he would listen to the Bee Gees rehearse, marveling at their ability to craft harmonies so effortlessly. It was during these moments that Andy felt a pull toward the stage. At the same time, Andy's mischievous nature remained. He often found himself in trouble at school, preferring to entertain his classmates with jokes and stories rather than focus on his lessons. But beneath his playful exterior was a boy deeply inspired by the successes of his older brothers. He saw how their hard work and talent were paying off, and he started to imagine what it would be like to stand on his own stage, commanding an audience's attention. As he grew older, Andy became more determined to carve out his own path. By the time he turned 12, he had developed a keen interest in music, spending hours experimenting with his guitar. Barry continued to guide him, offering advice and encouragement. The bond between the two was strong, and Barry's mentorship planted seeds of confidence in Andy. Despite his growing passion for music, Andy still faced challenges in finding his own voice. Living in the shadow of the Bee Gees meant comparisons were inevitable. But rather than feeling overshadowed, Andy used their success as motivation. Watching his brothers on television or hearing their songs on the radio filled him with pride and ambition. He began dreaming of the day when his own voice would be heard, not as the youngest Gibb, but as Andy, a star in his own right. While his journey was still in its infancy, Andy's return to England marked the beginning of a transformation. The boy who once played in the fields of Australia now stood on the cusp of a new chapter, ready to take his first steps toward a future that promised both triumphs and trials. By the time Andy was 13, his passion for music had grown stronger. School no longer captured his interest, and he began skipping classes, preferring to spend his days strumming his guitar or experimenting with melodies. His teachers, frustrated by his lack of focus, didn't realize that Andy was already envisioning a future where music would take center stage. One day, Barry surprised Andy with a chance to record a demo. Though it was a simple recording, it marked the first time Andy heard his voice played back. The experience was transformative. "This is what I'm meant to do," he told Barry, his eyes brimming with excitement. Encouraged by his older brother's success and guidance, Andy began writing songs, often imitating the styles he admired in the Bee Gees and other popular bands of the era. At 14, Andy took a bold step and convinced his parents to let him leave school to pursue music full-time. Though Barbara Barbara and Hugh were hesitant, they recognized his determination. Barry, Robin, and Maurice supported his decision, offering advice and occasionally allowing Andy to join their rehearsals. This exposure gave him a glimpse of the dedication required to succeed in the industry. To further develop his skills, Andy began performing at small venues and local clubs. His early performances were raw and unpolished, but they revealed his natural charisma. Even as a teenager, he had a knack for connecting with audiences, captivating them with his boyish charm and emotional performances. It was during this period that Andy formed his first band, Melody Fair, named after a Bee Gees song. Together, they played cover songs and a few of Andy's original compositions. Though the band never gained significant traction, the experience was invaluable. It taught Andy the discipline and teamwork required to succeed in the music industry, a lesson he would carry with him as he moved forward. In 1974, at the age of 16, Andy decided to return to Australia to gain experience and make a name for himself, much like his brothers had done years earlier. Accompanied by Melody Fair, Andy saw this as an opportunity to step out of the Bee Gees' shadow and establish his own identity. Upon arriving in Sydney, Andy was welcomed by his sister Leslie, who had settled there permanently. With her encouragement, Andy and his band began playing at small venues, slowly building a reputation in the local music scene. His performances were lively and energetic, showcasing both his vocal talent and his growing confidence as a frontman. However, the journey wasn't without its challenges. Andy's youthful exuberance often clashed with the demands of a professional career. While his bandmates were focused on rehearsals and gigs, Andy occasionally skipped practice to attend parties or go on spontaneous adventures. This lack of commitment frustrated his bandmates, and over time, the group began to dissolve. Despite the setbacks, Andy remained undeterred. In 1975, he released his first single, Words and Music. Though it didn't achieve significant commercial success, the song hinted at his potential. It caught the attention of industry professionals who saw Andy as a young artist with the charisma and talent to go far. At just 17 years old, Andy made a surprising decision. He married Kim Reeder, a school friend with whom he had been romantically involved for some time. The young couple seemed happy, but their marriage came with its own set of challenges. Kim supported Andy's dreams, but the pressures of his budding career often left little time for their relationship. Shortly after their wedding, Andy and Kim moved to the United States, where the Bee Gees were achieving international superstardom. The move was both exciting and daunting. For Andy, it was a chance to learn from his brothers and immerse himself in the heart of the music industry. However, it also meant adjusting to the fast-paced lifestyle of Los Angeles, a city where temptation lurked around every corner. The Bee Gees, ever supportive of their younger brother, helped Andy secure a solo recording contract. They even offered to collaborate on his first album, lending their expertise to ensure his debut would be a success. While Andy was thrilled by the opportunity, he also felt the pressure of living up to the Gibb name. In April 1977, Andy released his first major single, I Just Want to Be Your Everything, written by his brother Barry. The song was an instant hit, climbing to the top of the Billboard charts and staying there for weeks. Suddenly, the youngest Gibb was thrust into the spotlight, no longer just the little brother of the Bee Gees. The success of his debut single was followed by the release of his first album, Flowing Rivers. Featuring a mix of ballads and upbeat tracks, the album showcased Andy's versatility and emotional depth. Songs like Love is Thicker Than Water further cemented his status as a rising star. At just 19 years old, Andy had achieved what many artists could only dream of. He was adored by fans, hailed by critics, and celebrated as a heartthrob. Yet, with fame came immense pressure. The constant demands of touring, recording, and media appearances began to take their toll. Andy, who had always been carefree and playful, now found himself grappling with the weight of expectations. Andy's meteoric rise to fame brought both opportunities and challenges. As his career soared, he found himself surrounded by the excesses of the entertainment industry. Hollywood parties, late nights, and endless celebrations became a regular part of his life, At first, Andy embraced this new lifestyle, enjoying the freedom and excitement it offered. However, the fast-paced world of fame came with its dangers. Andy began experimenting with substances, initially as a way to cope with the pressure of his career. What started as occasional indulgence soon became a habit. Those close to him noticed changes. His once boundless energy was now accompanied by moments of exhaustion and mood swings. Despite these struggles, Andy continued to produce hits. His sophomore album, Shadow Dancing, released in 1978, was another massive success. The title track, written by all four Gibb brothers, became his third consecutive #1 single, solidifying his place in music history. While his professional life seemed perfect, Andy's personal life was unraveling. The strain of his demanding schedule and his growing dependence on substances put immense pressure on his marriage. Kim, unable to endure the turbulence, decided to return to Australia, taking with her a secret she hadn't yet shared. She was pregnant with their daughter. By 1978, Andy was at the peak of his career. His album Shadow Dancing had made history, and his fan base continued to grow. Crowds of adoring fans screamed his name at concerts, and his face was plastered on magazine covers worldwide. Yet beneath the glamour and applause, Andy's struggles were becoming harder to hide. The pressures of fame weighed heavily on him. Endless tours, late-night recording sessions, and constant media attention left little time for rest. Andy, who had once thrived on his carefree attitude, now felt trapped by the demands of his success. To cope, he turned more frequently to substances, believing they would help him maintain his energy and confidence. His family, especially Barry, Robin, and Maurice, grew increasingly concerned. They saw the warning signs: missed appointments, erratic behavior, and moments of isolation. Despite their attempts to intervene, Andy insisted he was fine. He wanted to prove he could handle fame on his own, even as the cracks in his facade began to show. Andy's personal life began to unravel as his professional success soared. The separation from Kim, coupled with his increasing dependency on substances, left him feeling isolated. When he discovered Kim was pregnant after their split, the news brought a mix of emotions: joy for the daughter he would never truly know, and regret for the choices that had led to their estrangement. Despite his personal struggles, Andy remained dedicated to his career. In early 1979, he performed at the UNICEF Gala, sharing the stage with some of the biggest names in music. The event was a resounding success, showcasing his talent to a global audience. Yet, behind the scenes, Andy's reliance on substances was becoming harder to ignore. His erratic behavior began affecting his professional relationships. Producers, bandmates, and managers grew frustrated with his unreliability, but Andy's charm often allowed him to escape severe consequences. Still, the cracks were becoming too large to ignore, and his family started to fear that Andy was on a dangerous path. In 1980, Andy's life took another dramatic turn when he met actress Victoria Principal, best known for her role in the hit TV show Dallas. Their chemistry was undeniable, and the two quickly became one of Hollywood's most talked-about couples. Andy was deeply infatuated, and for a time, their relationship seemed to bring him stability. However, the romance was far from perfect. Both Andy and Victoria struggled with personal demons, and their intense relationship often swung between passionate love and heated arguments. Victoria, who also had a history with substances, unintentionally fueled Andy's struggles rather than alleviating them. Andy's family disapproved of the relationship, believing it was unhealthy for him. Despite their warnings, Andy remained devoted to Victoria. The couple even recorded a duet, "All I Have to Do Is Dream," which, while not a major hit, became a symbol of their volatile love story. By the early 1980s, Andy's career began to lose momentum. His erratic behavior and missed commitments made him increasingly difficult to work with. Record labels and producers, once eager to collaborate with him, began to pull away. His third album, After Dark, released in 1980, produced moderate hits, but failed to match the success of his earlier work. Despite these setbacks, Andy continued to perform, hoping to reignite his career. He was hired as the host of the TV show Solid Gold, a role that initially seemed like a fresh start. But his struggles with substances soon led to missed rehearsals and cancelled appearances, resulting in his dismissal from the show. Professionally and personally, Andy was spiraling. His relationship with Victoria ended, leaving him heartbroken and more reliant on unhealthy coping mechanisms. The once bright star was now battling both his inner demons and the pressures of an unforgiving industry. Recognizing that he needed help, Andy's family convinced him to enter rehab in 1985. He checked into the Betty Ford Center, a renowned facility that had helped many high-profile figures. For a time, Andy showed signs of improvement. He expressed a desire to turn his life around, reconnect with his family, and regain control of his career. After completing treatment, Andy appeared on several TV shows and performed in smaller venues. His fans were thrilled to see him back on stage, and Andy seemed genuinely happy to be performing again. He even began working on new music, determined to prove that he still had what it took to succeed. However, the road to recovery was anything but smooth. Financially, Andy was struggling. Once a millionaire, he now faced mounting debts and dwindling resources. Despite his efforts, the pressure to rebuild his life weighed heavily on him, and moments of relapse threatened to undo his progress. By 1987, Andy had regained some stability. He pursued a surprising new passion: aviation. Taking flying lessons, he found solace in the skies. Earning his pilot's license by the end of the year, the accomplishment gave him a renewed sense of purpose and pride. At the same time, Andy began recording new material, hoping to reignite his music career. Barry, ever supportive, arranged meetings with record labels in Europe. However, when the time came, Andy's anxiety got the better of him. He missed crucial appointments, and the opportunity slipped away. Barry later reflected that Andy's struggles went beyond substances. He believed his younger brother lacked the tools to navigate life's challenges, and often felt overwhelmed by expectations. Still, Andy's family remained hopeful that he could find his footing. Despite setbacks, Andy continued to dream big. He worked tirelessly on new songs, determined to prove that his best days were not behind him. But as 1988 began, his health, weakened by years of substance abuse, started to deteriorate. By early 1988, Andy's health was visibly deteriorating. Years of substance abuse and the stress of his career had taken a severe toll on his body. He often complained of fatigue and chest pain, but he dismissed these symptoms as temporary. Despite his physical decline, Andy remained determined to prove he could make a comeback. In February, Andy suffered a series of panic attacks that left him shaken. His family grew increasingly concerned, urging him to take better care of himself. Andy tried to reassure them, insisting he just needed time to get back on track. He avoided hospitals and refused to rest, focusing instead on recording and making plans for a new album. On March 7th, just 2 days after his 30th birthday, Andy experienced sharp chest pains and was rushed to the hospital. Doctors diagnosed him with myocarditis, a severe inflammation of the heart, likely caused by years of substance abuse. Andy's condition worsened rapidly, and on March 10, 1988, he passed away. The news devastated his family, friends, and fans. Andy's vibrant personality and undeniable talent had touched countless lives, making his death a heartbreaking reminder of the dangers of fame and excess. Andy's passing sent shockwaves through the music industry. Tributes poured in from fans and fellow artists, all mourning the loss of a young star taken too soon. His brothers, Barry, Robin, and Maurice, were especially heartbroken. They struggled to process the loss of their beloved younger brother, each reflecting on what more they could have done to help him. Barry, who had been Andy's mentor and confidant, carried a deep sense of guilt. In interviews, he often spoke of how he wished he had been more present during Andy's struggles. Robin and Maurice shared similar sentiments, emphasizing the importance of family and support in the face of adversity. Despite the tragedy, the Gibb family vowed to honor Andy's legacy. They worked to preserve his music, ensuring that his contributions to the industry would never be forgotten. Though Andy's career was brief, his impact on the music world was undeniable. With chart-topping hits like I Just Want to Be Your Everything and Shadow Dancing, he proved that his talent was not just a reflection of his family's success, but a testament to his unique artistry. Andy's music continues to resonate with fans, old and new. His songs are remembered for their heartfelt lyrics and infectious melodies, capturing the essence of a young artist who poured his soul into his work. Decades later, his music remains a symbol of the 1970s and the golden age of pop. Beyond his individual achievements, Andy's story serves as a reminder of the complexities of fame. His journey highlights the pressures faced by young artists and the importance of mental health and support systems in navigating the challenges of the entertainment industry. Andy Gibb's life, though tragically short, offers profound lessons. His struggles with substance abuse and the pressures of fame shed light on the vulnerabilities that many artists face. His story emphasizes the importance of prioritizing mental and physical well-being, even in the pursuit of success. For his fans, Andy's legacy is a mix of inspiration and caution. His incredible talent and passion for music continue to inspire aspiring artists, while his challenges serve as a stark reminder of the importance of self-care and seeking help when needed. Andy's family has often spoken about the need for greater awareness around addiction and mental health. In sharing his story, they hope to prevent similar tragedies and encourage others to seek support during difficult times. The Gibb family's contributions to music extend far beyond Andy's career. As members of the legendary Bee Gees, Barry, Robin and Maurice created a musical legacy that spans decades and continues to inspire generations. Andy's brief but impactful career added another layer to this legacy, showcasing the incredible talent that ran through the Gibb family. Through their music, the Gibb family has addressed themes of love, loss and resilience, resonating with listeners around the world. Andy's story is an integral part of this narrative, highlighting both the triumphs and trials that come with pursuing a dream. In the years since Andy's passing, his brothers often paid tribute to him in their performances and interviews. Songs like Wish You Were Here reflect the deep bond they shared and the pain of losing a beloved sibling. Today, Andy Gibb is remembered not only for his musical achievements, but also for his warm personality and infectious charm. His story is one of immense talent, youthful ambition, and the challenges of navigating fame at a young age. Fans and critics alike continue to celebrate Andy's contributions to the music industry, keeping his memory alive through his timeless hits. For those who knew him personally, Andy was more than a performer. He was a brother, a son, and a friend who brought light into their lives. While his life was marked by both extraordinary highs and heartbreaking lows, Andy Gibb's legacy endures. His music, his story, and the lessons he left behind remain a powerful reminder of the joys and challenges of chasing a dream.